Now, today, I'm going to dive deeper step by step to get you gentlemen understand how obsession is influenced in an unconscious way that you might also not be aware of, and she might not also be aware of, but it's a step-by-step influenced action that we tend to act on because of how our brains process emotions through how we experience things, and we form a pattern which is a coping mechanism in a way as either harmful, dangerous, threatening, or maybe it can give us joy. Now, this is going to be a step-by-step information just for us to understand and for us to also inquire together. It's going to be a long segment. Seek for professional help. This is for informational purposes only. My way of seeing things mostly on a philosophical level, an information that is complex. Our brains produces emotional reactions to experiences, either fear or anger. And you will ask me, what is an emotional reaction? How can the humankind's brain cause an emotional reaction through a specific experience? An emotional reaction is our entire body system. That includes the brain and the body. And meaning, this is what guides us, okay? This is what guides us to navigate the world, and it guides our behavior. So every time you act in a certain way, it's because of how you perceive the world through a chemical reaction that has been released by the brain, okay? And maybe through that, your state of being experiences either fear or extreme anxiety, depending on how you perceive it, which means your brain entirely is in control of how you perceive the outside events. Due to your past experiences, if there is an emotional state of being that has been saved by your subconscious brain, then it can easily be triggered, it can easily be accessed by a specific experience because of how you see it, and not how you want to see it. You might want to see it positively, but you have a code, a system that has been ingrained by your past experiences and how you navigate that world on how you saw it. Here's the thing, maybe in your past relationship, you were in a relationship with a toxic person, right? A toxic lady. Or maybe she was in a relationship with a toxic ex, right? But she managed, in that process, her brain was consistently releasing a chemical reaction because of how it was dangerous to her and how things were harming her or were harming you in a certain way, either psychologically, mentally, or emotionally. So you had to reinforce a coping mechanism or create a coping mechanism when around that ex. Now it is a prolonged action behavior that you have been using. Even when you work on yourself and be better, that coping mechanism, it is still in your system. That is the body and the brain. And how you experience the outside events, you will react to that depending on how your past experiences, you used to see the negative things and how you used to maneuver around it. So you will access your past coping mechanism because your past coping mechanism is the only coping mechanism that your brain and your body is aware of and can easily access without conflict. even when it can cause more harm physically, internally, health-wise, but it is easily accessible, and it is a pattern, a wave that your brain and your body, that is a whole system that is used to. And until you create a new pattern so that your brain can get used to that new pattern, this new system that you are accessing, because you perceive things as dangerous, even when it is just a perception, it will cause more harm emotionally and psychologically. If you are around something, okay, that can arouse you in a physiological state, because that is the impact it will have on you, which means it is a substance that is chemically applied either in an osmosis level. Through osmosis, when around a specific chemical, you can inhale something. And if that chemical is near a certain person, that is maybe Hannah, you might not identify the chemical, but if Hannah uses some drugs, let me just put it this way, if Hannah uses some drugs to survive, because now that is her coping mechanism, then she carries a chemical, a drug. It can be experienced only on an osmosis level that cannot be seen, but it can be transferred because it is an airborne chemical. It's just how I interpret things, and I hope you see it in this way. I am not completely right. I'm trying to make things make sense to you, okay? And maybe to me, because of sometimes you end up dealing with things that you need to understand better, but the only way to understand better, you have to introduce a philosophical language for you to get a better insight on it, okay? So, we are assuming that Hannah's coping mechanism, it is extremely dangerous when she surrounds herself with healthy people. So it's extremely dangerous to her internal state of being and extremely dangerous to healthy people. And the only way she can't cause harm to people who surrounds her, there must also be the people who have the same operating system. They see the world in the same way. They are using the same chemical. Now, that place, okay, that existence where Hannah is in a negative state of being, you are also in a negative state of being, both of you can relate with each other. And both of you can even get attached to each other. Which means there will be a multiple chemical reactions because of your coping mechanisms that is unhealthy. But when you surround yourself with healthy people, they might have a positive impact on you. But since you have never experienced healthy and your brain is not used to that pattern, because now that is a new system that your brain is accessing, now your brain is signaling you that danger is around. You need to go back to your nature self, because your nature self, it is the unhealthy coping mechanism, which is a chemical reaction. So when you experience a new hormone, a new chemical, because your brain is releasing that, your body tells your brain that something is wrong, you need to adjust. So you have to act in a certain way so that the other person can also be in a negative frequency. Okay, this is just on a philosophical understanding, which is a negative emotional state of being, because that is the only way your brain can see and relate with. It is the only state of being that your brain can relate with. And in this process, I'm sorry, that is too much.